Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Giselle Bodie, and I'm the COO of Kantar Media Intelligence Europe, part of the mighty Kantar and even mightier WPP empire. Today, I want to introduce you to one of the jewels in our media intelligence crown, Cymfony, and share with you how it is helping clients all over the world to listen, understand and interact with their audiences through social media. I'd like to demonstrate today that social media listening is an ideal vehicle for listening and measuring the voice of the consumer, what she or he really thinks and says. To do this effectively, you need powerful research tools to tap into what has been described as the biggest focus group in the world. Differentiating between the significant and the irrelevant chatter is vital, but actually how do you do that when there are millions, literally millions, of pieces of information to sift through? With social media listening being adopted globally at a very rapid pace, many organizations are quickly trying to determine how to integrate social media into their market research and communication strategies. Those organizations need to understand what is possible and how to integrate it into their processes. Providing real-world examples of social media in action, I will demonstrate the value it has delivered to communications, marketing, and brand professionals. So, social media has had a profound and dramatic impact on the way that consumers and businesses communicate and interact. There's much that we can learn from observing and listening to these exchanges. And it's no surprise that social media listening is a really hot issue now, with growth fueled by a number of factors. There is the growing focus on global business, tapping into markets around the world, understanding how your brand is perceived and positioned. The focus on the client experience, ensuring that interactions are positive and work to building stronger brand loyalty. The need to learn more about your consumers in real time as events unfold, often in a crisis. And the need to implement and measure messages, strategies and programs to ride the wave of what is working, but equally to quickly shift when something is not. And that is one of the powers of social media, the speed of reaction that is possible. I'll explain how Kantar Media Cymfony, a pioneer in the listening industry, offers solutions to meet these needs and illustrate how some of our clients have used it. Okay, so some of the statistics that were talked about this morning are phenomenal. I think we're all familiar with them. To see in real terms the growing momentum of social media, you only have to look at two networks, Twitter and Facebook, the two biggest. User adoption for both is predicted to double this year, and Facebook, already in excess of 500 million users, far exceeds the US population, for example. Despite what you may think of the value or longevity or potential longevity of either of those, social media is definitely a permanent part of the communications landscape. But Twitter and Facebook are actually only two of the social media options available. There are many other forums. There are message boards, review sites, blogs, video sharing sites. The volume and pace of conversations will continue to escalate. In fact, we predict that the overall size of the listening market for solutions this year will exceed $1 billion. So in the last 5 years, this is a market that has gone from $100 million for the listening and analytical services to do with social media back in 2006. So 5 times grown over the last 5 years. But let's not just focus solely on Twitter and Facebook, although their growth is impressive. Let's be, there's a common myth that social media is the preserve of younger generations. This chart from Pew Research Center shows that some of the biggest growth in social media engagement comes from far less likely demographics, the older generation adopting it. So it is no longer a very limited audience that we are talking about. You should care about what is being said and who is saying it, And as a marketer, communicator, business leader, you should care about what is said and how you can understand and act upon it. Your competitors certainly are. Some more fascinating facts about the power of social media. I think these are just a handful of the ones that should make us sit up and take notice from a commercial perspective. The money that is being diverted from traditional TV advertising towards social media, as in the case of Pepsi, or the sheer number of comments that are passing around the world, many of them completely irrelevant, of course, but many of them highly relevant to your particular organization. And increasingly we're seeing the power of, for example, something like the holiday shoppers who will go on TripAdvisor. All of us have done it. We put in a location like Montreux, and one of the first things that will come up is TripAdvisor and all the reviews. And it's a brave person that says that that has had no impact on their decisions. Okay, this chart is not designed to be legible. It is really the fact that we shouldn't really just concentrate on Twitter and Facebook, although their growth is impressive. It's the whole, what we call ecosystem, that serves to demonstrate the complexity of what's happening in the social media space. Traditional media has found new life and relevance as it gets distributed and interacted with in new ways via social tools. In fact, key influences in traditional media are amplified through the millions of voices in social media. Increasingly, journalists go online to find their stories, and the stories find their way into traditional media and then back again, talked about on the social media. As you listen, it's important to understand how topics and exchanges span the traditional social spectrum. Events or stories may start in one place and quickly span the complete ecosystem, gaining volume and, importantly, velocity at an alarming rate sometimes. So, who owns social media in the organization? Due to the growth and importance of listening and communicating within this ecosystem, it's not surprising that social media listening is now critical to the whole organization, spanning functions, brands, and markets. Any role involved with communicating to the market and consumers has a vested interest in tapping into social media conversation. It spans so many aspects, in fact the whole of the product and service life cycle. You listen to consumers to understand their unmet needs and preferences. You learn how consumers talk about their wants and their needs and concerns. You listen, importantly, about how your offer stacks up against others. Listening to gauge how effectively your messages resonate with consumers, who's influencing market opinion, how to determine how far your ads and launches, programs drive action in the market. Social media listening, like many other core enterprise solutions, is likewise taking on an enterprise-wide approach to adoption and deployment. It's not uncommon for marketing executives to ask for a common platform approach to be used across all the teams and regions geographically to ensure a consistency in measures and success criteria. So we can see that social media listening is a need across many functions, teams, brands, regions. Are all those needs the same? Well, typically we find that the needs fall into two business areas, marketing and communications. And within those arenas, listening takes on different forms. It serves to generate insights to get a better understanding of the consumer voice, which is a value in making product and messaging strategy decisions, but it's also instrumental in watching and responding to conversation patterns and trends and identifying potential crises situations before they arise or escalate, certainly. And there are many. The case law on this is significant. In this new age of market intelligence metrics and measurements, social media listening plays a critical role in providing a real-time window into consumer sentiment and views. Okay, a little bit about Cymfony and how it works, what it offers. Cymfony combines proven, scalable technology with proven services to deliver market intelligence when you want it, in the way you want it delivered. And this can be broken down into 4 offerings, 4 key areas. Firstly, we provide continuous self-service listening through direct access to a software platform called MAESTRO. Very powerful and very usable across the enterprise. Secondly, we can design the service to provide specific time periods, continuous data feed, different measurements for integrating with other sets, importantly, with other sets of data, not just social media metrics. 3, reporting can be provided as often as you want it, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. It's focused on posts, measures and summaries needed for an ongoing business analysis and decision making. And finally, in that bottom right-hand corner, something that we're very proud of, and it's quite distinctive for us. We're not just a listening platform. We provide market intelligence studies. Now, not all clients have the time to sit and play on dashboards, and for many of them, they don't want to do it either. So for them, we provide analysis. We mine for insights within the platform itself, tell you what it all means, and make recommendations. So these market intelligence studies use a team of experts to mine into MAESTRO, provide insights and recommendations. We take advantage of our industry expertise and that of our sister companies' research expertise, which is considerable, applying what we learn about where and how consumers speak about your segment. And we tap into the extensive Kantar network to take advantage of country and language-specific skills. And this is important where so much of the social media listening and monitoring and analysis is happening in the US. I think that's why we're particularly proud to see Cymfony coming to Europe and be adapted for the markets in this region. So at the heart of what we offer is this MAESTRO platform, which provides any number of features, and I won't dwell too much on them, but there is a huge degree of flexibility for functional needs across the organization, consistent metrics. We have the largest breadth of relevant and cleansed content of the social media monitoring platforms. We get feeds in from, we buy in feeds from Facebook and Twitter. It's not just the case of us putting in some search terms and digging up items. We actually get millions of items every day, 15 million or so. We integrate with the other sources, as I mentioned. We have widgets which can be deployed on other applications, on a portal, if you'd rather use them there. Also providing very granular views, the relationships between brands, categories, topics, where it's being said, the influence landscape, and that's almost a subject in its own right, which we haven't got time for here, but influencers, you will see becoming more and more important. And we have a sister company that's talking tomorrow, Compete, who can tell you a lot more about the demographics, and we work with them very closely on projects for our larger clients. We can go back in time. We have 5 years worth of back content that we can go and see where before campaign, a during campaign, and an after campaign. MAESTRO can be tailored to deliver whatever you need, on demand, unlimited number of dashboards. I think that's quite important, particularly for the larger organizations that we serve. It can provide alerts when something needs to be dealt with more urgently, for those in customer service maybe. Data download, reporting tools, on-the-fly text search. It's almost like its own search engine. And it provides one centralized dashboard for social media, but it can also integrate traditional media. So in many ways, you're bringing the two worlds, the ecosystem, into one place for analysis. Cymfony provides a growing number of syndicated offers, and these are often a good way for people to test the water with social media. They offer, these industry and brand sector solutions provide a normative view into their respective markets and include Cymfony scores to assess your brand position compared with others in that market space. At the moment, we have strong offerings in the financial sector, in automotive, an increasingly important sector is the mums net, the mummy blogging area, as the US would call it. It has a huge potential for listening in to that particular group, shall we say, for the consumer brands. Okay, I'm going to share with you just 2 or 3 examples of how clients have used this in the past. Can't always tell you the name, but you probably guessed in some cases. So the first example I'm going to share is in a very recent study. Cymfony looked at the social media for a major FMCG group. We looked at the reaction and commentary around a major multi-million PR campaign and a product launch. The social media told them that despite the many millions they were pouring into the campaign, the consumers were frustrated they couldn't find the company's Facebook page, which was an anchor of the campaign. Social media was able to tell them this in very much real time, and they were able to adjust the direction in which people could find Facebook. In addition, consumers branded the ad campaign as illogical. The conversations, often among the mummy bloggers, they felt that the campaign was a bit illogical, encouraging germophobia because it was all about a cleaning product, and irrational fears of common microbes. And finally, the social media revealed that the very target market the company was trying to reach was vastly annoyed at the noisy pop-up ads, which unhappily were targeted at those mum sites, the very audience they were trying to reach. So they didn't have to wait a month or 3 months or even 6 months for traditional research to give them feedback that these were problems. The same day they could start fixing these things, which gives a tremendous power to people in the managing the brands. So the company was able to take action, rectify the issues, and continue to monitor the social media for further reactions, and far quicker than any traditional research. Here, for Cisco, we work right across the organization for investor relations, analyst relations, communications, marketing, and reporting to the board level at both the corporation and individually branded product segments. That, again, is one of the powers of applying technology to these millions of conversations. You can drill down into specific product areas within the big brands, what people are saying about them. Our work addresses both B2B and B2C interactions. It allows each department to use specific site and publication groups that are relevant for them, specific geographical segmentation, again, that are relevant to each of the groups, and specific metrics, tailored metrics, to look at both traditional and social media messaging in both branded and unbranded social and traditional media. The implementation includes surveys that are integrated into the dashboard for side-by-side analysis of social media versus the high-level survey results, analysis of employee discussions, executive performance across media, and global and traditional media in 16 languages. So again, you can see the power of social media to reach through one dashboard. You can bring in all these conversations and make it relevant for each part of the organization that is only interested in its share of the conversation. Hotel groups. We work for Hilton and Intercontinental Hotels Group, and here it's a perfect environment for using Cymfony's MAESTRO platform. Cymfony supports over 4,000 concurrent users and millions of documents in these systems. Cymfony has more travel content than any other provider in the industry, gathering reviews from TripAdvisor, as I mentioned earlier, and other review sites, in addition to travel sites such as Hotwire and Expedia. So Cymfony, what we do is we track, measure the reviews, social media opinions at the brand level, but also at the individual property level. And that really gives power to local hotels who couldn't normally afford to do their own monitoring, to be able to see how they stack up in a town like Montreux against their fellow hoteliers. And they can compare their performance with individually selected sets, if you like. And so the hotel industry in particular, you can see how it works very well for them. So, in summary, one of Cymfony's differentiators is the quality of the services delivered through the methodology and the technology. Our methodology has been improved upon and refined over time. We've been in existence for some 10 years and evolved. I think it's the third generation of platform now that we're working on. We act as a partner to our clients to bring the most value to the social media listening and engagement. So essentially, we do 4 things. We learn and capture everything we can about your needs, markets, and the nuances of how people speak about you. It's really important to train the technology to recognize the vocabulary that is specific to your area. And that takes time and is not something you will get from a general monitoring tool. So this is built on years of experience already in the industry, as I've mentioned. Secondly, we apply that knowledge to refine the content and tune MAESTRO to meet your needs. So that eliminates all the noise that you will get if you have the fire hose of traditional social media monitoring. So using tuned MAESTRO, we can then use sophisticated capabilities to discover the nuggets of conversation that mean the most to you. Reviewing the quantity of output, the discovered themes, and the actual post, we analyse what it all means. We then apply that to your objectives. And when we come on to talk about metrics, it's a subject that I know will come up during the next day or two. Metrics, there is no single metric that can tell you how important or not your social media is. We have to work with the client to understand what the objectives are. If you know what you're trying to achieve through your social media campaigns and your listening, then we can apply the metrics. And there are plenty of metrics to choose from, whether it's influencers in terms of linking to other sites. But it's an area going through a lot of development at the moment. Okay, so I've shared with you our views about the market and very briefly how our solutions help global companies. And finally, I would like to illustrate the value that these can provide. And I'll close with a recent award that highlights our commitment to providing real value from social listening. In 2010, Cymfony, along with our sister companies Millwall Brown and TNS, won the WPP Crème de la Crème Consumer Insight Award, which, given all the constituents of WPP, we're particularly proud of, for its work on the P&G Vancouver Olympics. The campaign, if you're not familiar with it, featured athletes' mothers and was the largest sports tie-up the company had ever attempted. It was also the first time they had tried to advertise individual brands under the P&G brand umbrella. So they were actually publicising P&G, not the individual brands, which broke from tradition. So a multi-method solution was developed to gauge the shifts in consumer attitudes and behaviours over 5 months. The time frame covered pre-market, in-market and post-market measurements. Importantly, the model allowed for both long-term projections and on-the-fly adaptations to the campaign. Millwall Brown would score one television spot and evaluate the positive emotions it evoked. Cymfony then tracked the consumer's affinity for that commercial by sifting through social media online. TNS then scanned its long-term advocacy potential. So this is but one example where Cymfony partnered with its sister companies to integrate social media listening into larger marketing and communications goals. So alongside the heavyweights in the market research industry, we're very proud of Cymfony's work in this sphere and the recognition gained. So I recognise that it's time to go. So in conclusion, I hope I've demonstrated very briefly that not only is it possible to listen and engage with social media, it is vital to do so, but do it, please, intelligently. So thank you for your time and attention.